Is the Sony ZV-E10 the best compact vlogging camera out there on the market right now? Today, we'll be looking at this little powerhouse of a camera, checking out some of its features, and telling you why this is one of the best options for vloggers out there right now. In today's video, we'll be checking out the ZV-E10's features before going out and taking some sample footage. We'll also be looking at some of its special features and then wrapping it up with some final thoughts. And remember to stay tuned for details about this week's giveaway. The ZV-E10 is a 24 megapixel APS-C mirrorless camera. This camera may be familiar to many Sony users because it shares a similar body to an a6000 series camera, with the omission of a viewfinder and it being smaller and lighter. This camera only comes in at 343 grams, which makes it great for vlogging as it's small, out of the way, and easy to carry. Some people may miss the viewfinder for stills, but I think that this makes sense that they omitted this because this camera is mainly aimed at vloggers, so they've put in a fully articulating touchscreen instead, and they've made room for a much better microphone, which we'll talk about later. You may also recognize the ZV name. This is the ZV-1's bigger brother, the ZV-1 being Sony's already popular point and shoot vlogging camera, except this has a bigger sensor, an APS-C sensor, and the capacity to change lenses. You'll notice that this camera has a lot less buttons than an a6000 series body. This is all in the interest of keeping the camera small and reducing the clutter on the camera to make acquiring footage as easy as possible. I really like this less is more approach as it makes this camera super easy to use when you're shooting yourself while vlogging. Looking at the top of the camera, you have a cold shoe mount / hot shoe mount, a directional 3 capsule microphone, an on-off switch, a mode switch button which allows you to switch between stills, movie, and slow and quick mode, a nice big fat record button for movies, a shutter release button, a zoom rocker, and a control dial, as well as a one-touch bokeh button, which we will talk about later. Looking at the I/O, you have some fairly standard I/O, including a USB-C, a micro HDMI port, and headphones out, as well as a microphone in right on the top. This camera also takes Sony's W series batteries, which many of you may be very used to, giving you 80 minutes of record time. You also have unlimited recording on this camera, so you don't have to worry about that 30-minute record cap, but of course, you are limited by a power source. Going to the front of the camera, there's a small light that will light up red whenever you're rolling, so when you're vlogging, you can be sure that you're actually recording. On top of this, there's also a red box that highlights around the LCD screen, so you can have extra assurance that you're actually rolling. Speaking of recording, this camera can shoot 4K 24p cropless video, but when you go beyond that frame rate up to 30p, there is a slight crop. You can also shoot 1080p video at 120 frames per second with a slight crop, but if you didn't want a crop and you wanted a little bit of a wider field of view, you can shoot 1080p at up to 50 frames per second. This camera also benefits from Sony's amazing picture profiles, including hybrid log gamma, S-Log 2 and 3, and all of its cine profiles, giving you the most dynamic range and coloring in post. But if you don't want to shoot a log profile and grade in post, you can always shoot Sony's Rec 709 profile, the default profile, so you don't have to color and you can just take the footage straight out of the camera. Now we're going to jump to some field tests that we shot earlier. There are some segments where my lapel had died, but that gave us the great opportunity to test out the directional 3 capsule microphone that I've been raving on about in this video. We've taken the camera out and I'm gonna try vlogging with it, and this is a great opportunity to test out the mic quality. I'm currently wearing a lapel, but you can also get great quality straight out of the camera. In fact, it comes with this little wind fuzzy, which I'll actually take off now. So you can diffuse any wind if you're shooting out on a windy day like we are today. This is what the quality sounds like straight out of the camera without the wind fuzzy on, and this is what it sounds like with it on. Hopefully you heard a bit of a difference. There is a little bit of a breeze out, but this is a great tool for vloggers and filmmakers if you're out recording audio and you don't want that of wind constantly blowing past your microphone. There is a little bit of crop when you're shooting 4K at any more than 24 frames a second, but that's okay because you can get rid of this crop if you switch to 1080p. So there shouldn't be any crop when you're shooting in 1080p, except for when you're shooting in slow-mo, where there might be a little bit of crop. The really light size of this camera combined with the really compact form factor actually makes shooting this a really pleasant experience. It's not super in the way. I don't feel like it's cumbersome at all. You can actually shoot without being distracted by this camera at all. So that's really good for vlogging in case you're doing an everyday vlog or you're just shooting an event or something and you don't really want the camera to be the focus of what you're doing. You can just take this camera out and it's really nice. As I was talking about the crop factor before, there is a little bit more crop when you're shooting with the active steady shot on, but you do get a little bit of wider field of view if you turn off the active steady shot. So this is with the active steady shot on right now, and this is what it looks like when you've turned off the steady shot. So as you can see, there is quite a bit of difference between these two shots. Of course, if you turn off the active steady shot, you've lost all of your stabilization, but if you shoot with a lens with OSS inbuilt into the lens, you do get a little bit of stabilization out of that as well. Really, this is up to you whether you want to shoot with steady shot or not, whether you want that wider field of view or you want steadier shooting when you're vlogging. The Sony wireless vlogging grip is a really great tool when you're vlogging because it allows you to control the camera wirelessly. So you eliminate the need for another awkward cable hanging in the way of your LCD screen or just getting in your way in general whenever you're shooting. This grip features a record button, a shutter release button, a zoom rocker for compatible digital zoom lenses, a lock switch, so in case you're riding around in rough conditions and you want to lock all of the settings on your camera, you can always just switch it to lock and it will lock all of your functions, as well as a customizable button, C1, so you can assign any function that you want to this button and change it on the fly. It's actually a really good opportunity to show off the one-touch bokeh mode. So this goes into a product showcase mode where it'll defocus the background and it will focus on the product instead of my face. Speaking of prioritizing faces, this camera does feature Sony's high quality and brilliant face and eye detect autofocus, so you can vlog with the confidence that the camera will always focus on you and you don't have to worry about blurry images. One thing that I will say about this camera is that the LCD isn't super duper bright, so when you're shooting in sunny conditions, you might notice a little bit of glare. This isn't really the most annoying thing in the world, but it is something to take note of when you're shooting with this camera. Another cool thing about this camera is that it benefits from Sony's versatile E-mount system. So I can mount any of Sony's E-mount lenses onto this camera, such as this 16 to 35 2.8, or if I just wanted to be stupid and mount a 70 to 200 on this camera, I can do that. Right now, we're shooting on the Sony 16 to 55 OSS lens, which is a kit lens that will come with this camera, and it benefits from some optical image stabilization. Before we move on, I just want to talk about this week's giveaway. This week, we're giving you the chance to win some sweet George's merch. We've got embroidered beanies, we've got printed hoodies, t-shirts, and long sleeves for both kids and adults in various sizes and colors. To make sure that you're in the running to win some of this sweet George's merch, like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow us on Instagram, find the post that details this giveaway, and I want you guys to comment down below, I want that sweet George's merch. The winner will be announced on our Instagram, so make sure you stay tuned. I really enjoyed taking this camera out and shooting with it. Its small compact size means that you can take it out and shoot while still enjoying what you're doing, and you can still get great image quality out of it. This camera is a great option for vloggers. I personally wish that I had this camera when I was out doing a tour vlog for a band, but that's just what I think. If you're a vlogger or YouTuber, would you upgrade to this camera or go from your current setup to something like this? Let us know in the comments down below. If you need any more information about the products mentioned in this video, they're linked in the description below. If you found this video entertaining or informative, drop us a like, consider subscribing, follow us on Instagram for the latest in gear updates, tech news, and giveaways. Thanks heaps for watching and happy shooting.